Hello and welcome to the Balanced Business Dad Podcast. This podcast is just one part of the Balanced Business Dad movement. This movement provides a platform of the important pillars of life while building this council of dads to support each other as we work to balance our lives. The 6 pillars of life that we strive to balance are our faith, our health, our marriage, fatherhood, brotherhood, and our business. We are here to build a council of dads to celebrate wins and as well as to share the challenges of being a husband and a father, and all the while working to keep our pillars in balance. The goal of the Balanced Business Dad movement is for dads to be better in all things, balanced, because everyone in our lives deserves it.
Guys, welcome to another episode of the Balanced Business Dad. As always, I'm your host, Dustin Hogue, and my co-host with me, RJ Campbell. RJ, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Hello, guys.
Guys, we have a fun guest today, someone I've got the pleasure of knowing for a couple of years, father, a business owner, a husband, but someone with a unique, past experience in the world because he's been able to travel the world doing things that you just don't hear of very often. I'll let him tell the story, but guys, please welcome to the show, Jorge Hernandez, all the way out of Kansas City.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you? So glad that you can be on this. And, just want to jump into this right now. Obviously, we're the Balanced Business Dad. We intend on being better tomorrow than we are today and continuing being better in all things in our pillars of life that really encompass everything, which is faith, health, marriage, fatherhood, brotherhood, and then, of course, career, and making sure that we have those in the right balance we need to. So, Jorge, I'm just going to jump right into it because I've got to hear your story, but I want the rest of the dads out here listening to hear your story. So let's start from the beginning, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Where's the beginning? Just as you were sharing, I was reminded the first trip I've ever took was one day after my high school graduation. We had grad bash, and I literally left grad bash at 6 a.m, went to Amtrak station and took the train to Los Angeles, where somebody picked me up and they said, you guys are going to the Hollywood Chinese theater where the Oscars happen. And funny story, we were doing a show for children that were fatherless. And there I was on stage breakdancing in front of a bunch of kids at this theater, on Father's Day. So what a memory to remember.
That's awesome. Love to hear that. So that was your first time traveling, but you kind of just overlooked the fact that you were performing in a show. So
yeah,
what were you doing?
So I was breakdancing. I was a professional breakdancer for about 25 years. Got to travel the world. Been to over 45 to 50 countries, and we were able to just stay in these countries for about a month to 2 months, and just really integrate with the communities and with the people, and really see how they live and really see how they, live life. And we were able to just do shows, show them breakdancing to kind of share my story of where I came from. And just breakdancing was just an easy way to be able to get their attention and be able to present a message or present, what I had to say. So
where did you come from? Who is young Jorge?
Young Jorge. I grew up in a town called Modesto, California. Grew up with my mom, my brothers and sisters. My mom and my dad, they separated when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I never really did many things. I always wanted to play sports. I always wanted to be like, well, these guys are playing baseball, so I'll try out for baseball. But didn't have anybody to drive me to the practices, so I was like, that's not going to work. Showed up to football practice or tryouts, and I was like, oh, you have to have equipment. You have to have, practices before school. That's not going to work. So really just decided to do breakdancing because that was free and didn't really need any rides for that. I just breakdance anywhere I could have an open floor. So yeah, I grew up and shortly after high school just took off.
And
Wow.
the breakdancing was more of a ministry, correct? Like you were going to speak into these people's lives that you were doing shows for, correct?
Yes. I think in the beginning, I mean, obviously it was just an outlet for me to, stay off the streets and be able to use a lot of that anger, frustration, towards my upbringing, because I didn't grow up with my father and my mother was just working all the time and I needed an outlet, and that was breakdancing. So I used that to be able to, share my story and tell other people about where I came from and how breakdancing helped me and kind of saved me, and later transition to, traveling all over the world and using that as a form of evangelism to evangelize, the message of Jesus to people.
Wow, what a unique way of doing that. I love that.
Yeah. Was that with a group that you traveled around the world? Or was that?
It was a nonprofit organization called YWAM. And then we had a branch organization from that group called GX International, which stands for Global Expression. And I was a part of that for almost 20 years. So,
wow. And you met your wife through that, correct?
Yep. We took a trip to Brazil, and in Brazil, it was kind of like a 3-month course school that you go through in YWAM, Youth with a Mission. And the school was actually translated from Portuguese to English, and she was a translator for the school. So she was translating English and vice versa. And let's just say I paid close attention to the classes because the translator was nice.
That's awesome. Did you get an A in that class?
Probably not. Probably still failed.
Awesome. Well, what a unique, obviously story and a past that you have there. And I'm sure there's several stories out of there. I don't know if I knew that you didn't grow up without a father. So I'm sure this movement that we're creating kind of hits home quite a bit for you, because now you are a father of how many children?
Two. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. Yeah.
So that'll definitely keep you busy. And I know we have been, I guess for lack of a better word, traveling at the same time to the same places. And I know that you always bring your family with you, which is so cool. Because obviously as a traveling dad, sometimes, leaving them at home just honestly sucks, but your family was always with you, maybe in an Airbnb with grandparents or whatever they were, but they were always there. And I always thought that was so cool to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the current Jorge. What are you guys doing right now?
So after we transitioned, because my wife was also a dancer, she danced hip hop and she danced jazz and ballet and stuff like that. We transitioned into real estate, and we knew nothing about it. We knew that we seen other people, be very successful. HGTV kind of teaches you, hey, you do this and you do this and you make money. We're like, sweet, we're gonna go do it. It wasn't the case in the beginning, so we kind of learned as we went and learned the hard way. And little by little, I mean, we grew our portfolio, of rentals, and we've done quite a few flips, and we have, a number of Airbnbs, and now we're coaching and teaching people how to, start with nothing and be able to have a successful business or have a successful rental portfolio. And that's kind of like what we're doing now. My wife is a full-time, mom, obviously. She's a realtor, and we kind of just help people buy and sell and doing a lot of stuff with real estate right now.
Nice. Awesome. So let's just jump right in, right? So the pillars that we talk about, and obviously you're a firm believer of those pillars because you keep your family first, and obviously you're a faith-based man. I mean, going around the world, talking about the message of Jesus Christ, which was awesome, and doing it in a unique way that none of us have. So let's go through the pillars. Obviously we talked about faith, health. Where is that in your life right now? Because I know when you got to see me on my health journey, but where's the health? How do you keep that? So were you, because obviously your job for years was as an athlete. So things have to kind of settle down a little bit. I mean, you still out there breakdancing as a workout, or what are you doing to make sure that you're staying healthy?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was tough. I mean, after 25 years of doing that, almost every other day or every day, sometimes, you kind of transition to like, all right, now we're going to Home Depot every day, driving through Taco Bell. And it's just like, man, it definitely became a challenge getting into the gym. So, similar to you, I had to kind of challenge myself. So last year I signed up for like a challenge to do a physique contest. So I hired a personal trainer. I hired, a nutritionist. I did all these meal prepping and planning, got my blood tested, and just really, really looked at it from a different perspective. Like before, I was dancing, I was stretching, I was being physically fit. I had no idea what it was to eat right, to stretch, to really take care of my body. And, going through that journey of the physique contest, unfortunately, I wasn't able to compete, but just learning so much through that, I'm able to at least apply some of those things. I try to make it to the gym at least, 3 times a week. That's just realistic. Because before I was trying to do it every single day, and then I would miss time with my wife in the morning or miss, breakfast with my kids. So that's super important for me to be there when my kids wake up. I'm the one they see first, my wife and I. That's just something very important to me. So it was kind of just hard to figure that out. But little by little, we're starting to figure out that, hey, you can do 3 times a week, So I'm hitting the gym, hitting the weights, training with people that are at the gym, kind of telling me what to do, what not to do, and just making it really realistic for my lifestyle.
So I heard completely that you were out of balance in that because you were trying too hard and you were missing time with the kids, missing time with the wife. So you realized you had to get realistic and truly balance the health aspect of things, right? Because we need that, but you wanted to make sure it didn't interfere with your marriage, with your children. I mean, guys, make sure you write that down. That is such a perfect example of when we say we're going to do something, we go so balls to the wall that things just go off the tracks, right? So we have to do realistic where we're keeping the priorities straight and keeping all those balls in the air, juggling all those. That was awesome. Love that.
Isn't that such a guy thing? When we decide we're going to do something,
100%.
Yeah.
It's our focus for 4 months, and that's all we do, and everything else just the heck with it all.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just so easy to do that. We do it every time.
Yeah. All right. So we know about the kids. We know about the health. We obviously know about your faith. Tell us about your beautiful wife. I have the pleasure of knowing her as well. But you guys, like my wife and I mean, you guys are not only husband and wife, but you guys are business partners. Like you guys are in the thick of the thin all day long with one another. So tell us how that works out and, how do you guys make that work?
She's my boss. I'm the employee.
Fair enough.
But, no, yeah. I mean, ever since we got married, we were dancing together. And then we were youth pastors together. And then we started doing video production together. And then we started doing rehabs together. And now we're doing real estate together. It's just like we've never had a separation. In the beginning, it was like, man, this is so hard. Like, it's so hard working with a detailed person. She's like super analytical, and she would be like this and this. And I'm like, it's okay. Just do it. Just get it done. I mean, if you were to look at our first project together that we ever did, I mean, literally we were putting mud on the ceilings of this bathroom, and I didn't even wait for it to dry, and I just painted right over it. And it was just like, that's how it still is. 11 years later, it's still like that. But anyway, it was just so difficult. But man, that foundation, that what we built in those beginning stages, in those beginning years, like, has allowed us to just be like, man, he thrives in this, I'm going to allow him to thrive in that. She thrives in this, I'm going to allow her to thrive in that. And it just, from a marriage perspective, just brought us so much closer. And the communication, I mean, because you needed to communicate clearly already. If you're just having a project that, you're $400,000 or $500,000 in it, you need to have clear communication, or else you're going to lose money. Somebody's going to get hurt. But just being able to communicate and work together, and knowing like, man, why am I getting offended because she doesn't want to use my design ideas? She's the designer. Like, let her do that, So just really, really learning how to work with her and learning her and push her and really let her excel in where she thrives. I mean, that's just been crucial for us. But it's led us to be, we've been married for 14 years coming up in May. And I mean, it has been amazing working with my wife because I get to see her every single day. I mean, and I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's just like, man, she's just beautiful. So I don't see any of that, but it's just amazing how we have grown and how we have become best friends through this. So I love her, man.
That's beautiful. How do you turn off the work when, date nights, whatever it is? Are you guys just constantly working because you're building together? What does that look like?
No, we go on dates. I mean, there's Home Depot nearby. There's Lowe's, Menards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough doing that because when do you turn it off? You always have to talk about that property or that financial thing or that accounting or that. So it's really, really looking at things from the perspective of like, okay, what are the things that we really love? We love design. We love, looking at old buildings, and we love looking at, so that's stuff that really, it is part of our business, but it also draws us together because it's stuff that we're really, truly interested in. So, but there's times where it just gets a little bit overboard and just like, can we just stop talking about ROIs and properties? But it's just, we love it so much that it's just a part of our marriage and a part of our life. And even our kids now, they're like, oh, look at that house, look at that property, or look at that building, so it's can't get rid of that. But you can, I guess, look at it from just a different perspective, that it's a part of our date night,
Love that. It's who you guys are. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When you guys were dancers, part of your life was dancing, right? You probably didn't go out. You guys just danced. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Honestly, that's just absolutely beautiful. I love hearing that. Obviously, it's a place in my heart for spouses who work together, as my wife and I work through that and obviously try to get better at that every day. And it's awesome that you guys are doing that and excelling at that. Through that, you just mentioned the fatherhood aspect of it. You mentioned your kids a couple times, but how now the kids are a part of the business as well. And you want to make sure you're there for breakfast for them, which I love that. That's a huge part that I believe in as well. So, tell us what the Jorge, the dad, looks like. How do you guys balance that to make sure that you are present with the kids while you have all these other businesses going on?
Well, yeah, that's been a tough thing to balance, and a tough thing to really be intentional about, because especially having Airbnbs, you want to be there for the guests, right? But you also want to be there for your kids. You also want to be there for your wife. You also want to be there for, so it's just like knowing when there's times for the kids. It's like, it's kid time right now. We're going to play a game, or we're going to watch a movie, or we're going to do this. Put your phone down.
Right.
If it's really, really an emergency, somebody's going to call you, or, you'll figure it out. But really being intentional about this time is dedicated to the kids. So let's focus on that. And it's don't get me wrong, man, it's tough, but I think just at least acknowledging that and really, really trying to be intentional about it. And getting help from other people, man. Like, how do you do it? How does this person do it? How does that successful person do it? And I think it's so important that we don't think like, oh, I have to have it all together because, I'm a successful business owner or this or that. But no, asking for help and really seeing how the other successful businessmen are doing it. So I think it's just asking for help on a day-to-day and really seeing what works for other people, what works for me. So,
yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So it's asking for the help. And that kind of leads us into the next pillar of brotherhood, right? They might be, mentors or consultants or coaches or whatever, but it's also our friends group that are just in the same industry that might be doing something a little bit better than us. And so asking for that. So, it sounds like there's good there. The business sounds like it's going extremely well. And you're coaching now, which is awesome because I know you like to serve there. But now for the tough questions. Tell me a time where you guys have been just truly out of balance, where, things were just not going well, and what was going on, and how did you guys make it through?
I think it's when we weren't really allowing each other to thrive in our areas and what we really excelled in, like really trying to do it on our own and really trying to be like, you worry about yours and I'm going to worry about mine, not really looking at it as a team effort. I know for me, overspending is a huge thing. So finances, man, is a huge thing in a marriage. Obviously it's already a huge thing in a business. Now bring it into the marriage, that's a huge thing. So I know many times just doing or excessively spending without telling my wife, or doing, extravagant things and really not thinking about the consequences that, man, you're going to have to pay that back, even though it's on a credit card. Like, it happened more than once, and really, really left us in a place of like, man, we're not as successful as we think we are. You know, we have the properties, but you know how it is, man. It takes a while for the properties to actually start paying you back and actually start giving you that return to be able to pay for the lifestyle that you want. So I got way too ahead of myself and thinking, well, we have all these properties now. Let's live the lifestyle of the rich and famous. But that wasn't the case, you know, and it really brought a lot of stress, a lot of strain on the marriage, on you know, the kids. The kids see it. Kids see everything. So really just coming to a place of like, man, who am I trying to improve or impress? Who am I trying to show off to? There's like nobody there. Nobody's watching. I mean, nobody's like grading me and seeing like, oh, he's not driving, you know, a 2022 vehicle. It's like, oh man. So just really, really having to come to that realization of I messed up and I have to ask for forgiveness and then let's start over again. So,
wow,
numerous times.
Wow, thank you for being transparent there, and I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that. That hit home quite a bit. So, what do you guys do to make sure that doesn't happen again? Do you guys have something in place? Do you have, you know, hey, meetings on this calendar? We're going to make sure we're watching this. What are you guys doing right now to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen?
Well, I think for one, like really knowing our numbers. Because before it was like, yeah, we have money coming in. Yeah, but you have twice as much going out. So really knowing your numbers and digging in deep to really say, man, I need to sell these properties, or I need to sell this, or I need to do this because it's not helping. You're not cash flowing. You're not being able to live off of your properties, just like, you know, they tell you in the movies or they tell you on the TV shows. It's like, so really, really digging into your numbers and knowing them, that's something that we had to do. And it was hard because it's just like seeing the harsh reality that, man, we are nowhere near close to our goals. But really then, okay, well, what do we have to do? Okay, well, let's sell this property and this property. And then we, you know, reinvest that money into something else that is going to give us that, what we need. So just really, really digging into your numbers. That's something that we had to do. And it was tough. Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to, I guess, pause right there. That is something that's tough for a lot of people, and people who are not in business for themselves think that that's just common knowledge. And guys, it's honestly not. It's stressful because, well, most of us, unless we went into the accounting field and opened an accounting office, we have no idea what it means to know our numbers that well, right? So it's a learning process and tough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had to hire a coach, and the coach was the one that told me, your properties suck. Oh, that hurt. I had so much pride and so much like, man, I built this from the ground up. No education, no father present, no, you know, inheritance. It was like, I did. And it's just like, you're bleeding bad. Sell them quick. What? I paid you to tell me this? Yes.
It sounds like you guys did sell them. Or maybe
we sold them. We listened. Yes. No, we did not think twice. I mean, in a matter of 2-3 months, we listened to everything our coaches told us and said, they were right. I'm glad.
That takes a lot. I mean, that takes a lot to do to be able to, I mean, because basically we're admitting that we screwed it all up when we did it, but you got to listen to that advice and say, you know what, you know better than I do. We're going to do it. We're going to fix this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's big.
That's huge. And now we're working together. And again, what I love about you two is you guys admitted you screwed up together, right? Like you guys messed up, but it was we messed up. It's not like you messed up or she messed up or she's telling you messed up. You guys admitted this problem, and then you took massive action to fix the problem. And then you tracked the progress. You engaged support. You asked the coach, right? And then you're just going to repeat anytime you have challenges like that. You're going to go through that same process again, which is awesome. That's all about getting better right there. I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do for fun besides work?
Man, that's tough. That's really, really tough. We love to watch TV shows that have to do with construction and design and cooking. We love cooking channels.
Okay.
Or cooking TV shows. So when we first met, we were like, oh, we did this marriage course, and they said for the first year of your marriage, don't have a TV in your house, so you can talk and create conversation. And so we took it to the literal of like, okay, we're going on 14 years and we've never had a TV in our house, which I love, because then we really don't sit in front of the TV because we don't have one. So, but whenever we do watch, it's like, okay, we control what we watch, and it's just like strictly the stuff that we're really into, which is, your design shows, your food channel. We just love that stuff. And then really, really taking that to the next level of like, all right, making a list of the places we want to visit out of that TV show, out of that design show, and we purposefully put it on our list and we go visit that place. Like, it's just phenomenal that the kids are excited to go. I mean, we spent, I don't know, 6 months watching, cooks cook Italian food, and we're like, man, we should go to Italy. So we literally just spent the whole month of June in Italy eating food. So it's like, man, that's the stuff that we really love to do. Very intentional about it. And I mean, the kids are all on board with it. It's not just like, oh, you're coming because mom and dad are wanting to do this, but the kids really love it too. So,
yeah, they're all in on everything you guys do.
Pretty much.
Yeah, totally involved. That's pretty cool. And you've raised a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old with no TVs in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Our kids are something else. I love them. They're so creative and so, just very, very exciting to be their dad, just because, they're awesome.
That's what
it says it all right there.
Excited to be their dad. If that's the mindset we need to have, right? Every day when we wake up, I'm just excited to be her husband and their dad. That's awesome, man. You have, like I said, such a unique story, from literally breakdancing all over the world to running this extremely successful business in Kansas City. So, well, first of all, how did you guys get to Kansas City?
Yeah.
So in 2010, we decided we were going to move because we lived in Brazil for 2 years. We said, let's move to Kansas City. And when we were looking at properties here, I mean, we were looking at properties for $12,000, $15,000. I mean, we bought our first property for 18 grand. And I mean, that was a huge, huge motivator for us to move here. And also the ministry, the organization that we were part of, was based out of Kansas City.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, why they're in Brazil, man, let's move to Kansas City.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to connect. Is like, because that would be the first place I would think of from Brazil. We would go to the middle of the United States in Kansas City. Yeah, I've heard of this.
That's awesome, man. What a unique story. What is one piece of advice that you would give to the business dad right now that's working on trying to get better every day and balancing these pillars?
Listen to your wife. No, I mean, it's, we mention it as a joke, but really, I mean, I feel like the Lord has just put my wife in my life for so many reasons. But for one, it's just, she's so full of wisdom. And I believe a lot of spouses, I mean, just full of wisdom. So, I mean, listen to them. Have a clear conversation, an open conversation with them about every decision that you're trying to make. And, not perfect, but I try to do that a lot. So I think that's my biggest advice, man, because that's the person you're going to be doing life with. When your kids leave, when your business is gone, that's who's going to be there. So
that's beautiful, man.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Jorge, thank you so much for the time today. Thank you so much for, letting us ask these questions, but for us to pour into other dads that are experiencing some of the challenges you've experienced or will be experiencing some of the challenges that you've faced. I always think it's important that other dads know that they're not alone in this. And again, we just wake up every day and intend to be better than we were yesterday. That's the goal. Right. That's the goal behind the movement of the Balanced Business Dad. And we appreciate everything. We look forward to seeing you guys grow. And this is awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys. I appreciate the time.
Awesome. RJ, tell them how they can find us and keep this conversation going.
All right, gentlemen. So thank you very much for listening. We'd love to have you guys out there. We always ask as a favor when you listen, download, rate, review, share this with any other dads, husbands, other business owners that because they can benefit from these conversations. You can always find us, our website, thebalancedbusinessdad.com. You can link to all of the podcasts there. You can get the podcast on all of the usual podcast outlets, Apple and Spotify and the whole gamut of those. And then for conversation, you can always reach Dustin and I on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thebbdad. Keep these conversations going there. That's the easiest for us. You can email us too but I'd say the easiest is Facebook. That's the way to go to it. And this will all be in the show notes, like we always put it in there, so you don't have to write anything down. But we love to keep these conversations going. Jorge will probably be on that page too. He'll be able to answer more questions and talk how you do breakdancing for 25 years. That's what's amazing.
So are you going to post a video? That's what my question is. Are you going to, I've known you for years and I still haven't seen you dance. So I'm not sure you're telling the truth or I got to see this. I got to see this guy.
Yeah, I'll post something.
All right. I love it. Cool, guys. So there is a group now. So that's something that's new here too, but a Facebook group that you can go join called the Balanced Business Dad. Request to join, we'll get you in there. And then just another teaser. We're going to be putting out the Balanced Business Dad Council very soon. And you guys can join that. That's going to be a membership where, it's just dads helping other dads to grow in this community. So guys, we appreciate everything. Make it a great day and just be better tomorrow than you were today.